around half those jobs will require training beyond high school and short of a four-year degree. So for the kids going to college, I want them to take honors and AP courses and hit the ground running. That's why we fund TOPS and Go Grants. But I want every student to see their opportunity to not only finish high school, but go beyond high school. Whether it's in a technical college, a community college, or a four-year school, every one of our students needs to be encouraged to finish high school and continue their education. Now I could talk to you more about workforce development and why that is so important, but I could also spend a lot of time talking about all these different policies, the tax cuts, as well as the ethics changes. The real question is it making a difference? And I'd say absolutely, look at the numbers. Since January 14th of last year until today, we've announced dozens of economic development measures, totaling over $4.3 billion in private capital investment in our state, over 33,000 new jobs in Louisiana. Let me tell you something. In this economy, there are not a lot of governors, not a lot of states announcing new projects, new expansions, and new jobs. And it's been all over the state. Here locally, you've seen the Catalyst expansion. You've seen S&S announcement, 500 jobs at chemical plant just down the road. You've seen, certainly across the river, you've seen the Coca-Cola expansion, where they're going to be making products here, they export in the region. You've seen the Albemarle decision to move their corporate headquarters from Virginia here, 30 jobs, average pay over $200,000 a job. You've seen EA's announcement, Electronic Arts, putting the North American Quality Assurance Center right here in Louisiana. First of its kind on the LSU campus. Why is that so important? You know, years ago, we didn't have much of a movie industry, so we passed tax incentives, workforce training programs. We've got the third largest movie industry in the entire country after California and New York. We want to do the same thing with the digital media economy. We know that this is a part of the economy growing even more quickly than the movies, offering even higher paying jobs. That's why we've got an aggressive tax incentive program as well as workforce training programs. EA's decision to put their Quality Assurance Center in Baton Rouge is a huge step forward for that industry here in Louisiana. But it's not just announcements here. You may have seen the Shaw corporate headquarters announcement. They committed to staying in Louisiana and also to grow, to add 1,500 jobs there. But it's also announcements all over the state. Maybe you saw up in northwest Louisiana. Schlumberger added 400 jobs. Global Strike Command's coming to Barksdale, 1,000 new direct jobs. Maybe you saw Northwest Pipes reopening a closed facility there. Maybe you saw in Red River Parish, EDA's investing $350 million, 50 to 100 new jobs there in clean coal technology. Southwest Louisiana, Port of Lake Charles. Shaw Westinghouse Partnership, North America's first of its kind construction facility for nuclear reactors, modular nuclear reactors, 1,400 jobs they're hiring now. Maybe you saw over the Zagus facility next door to add value to our cotton products. Or maybe you saw up in northeast Louisiana, CPSI, 100 jobs. V-Vehicle Car Company, 1,400 direct jobs. Maybe you saw Gardner Denver Thomas, 230 jobs. Maybe you saw over ConAgra in Richland Parish, 500 jobs, North America's largest sweet potato manufacturing facility. Foster Farms, 1,000 jobs. Southeast Louisiana. Maybe you saw that Lost Ships are creating 1,000 new jobs in the shipyard and the shipbuilding industries. And the list goes on and on and on. It's not just new jobs, it's new companies moving here. It's companies moving their headquarters from Rhode Island, from Georgia, from Virginia into Louisiana. It's also reopening closed facilities like Tembec, the paper mill in West Feliciana. It's reopening the Northwest Pipe facility. It's reopening facilities that have been vacant like the Guide facility up in Monroe, opening new life, new jobs in those facilities. One of my favorite announcements, though, gotta admit, was over in Ascension Parish. Maybe you saw this as well. Across the river, we're already on the cutting edge in oil and gas. We want to be on the cutting edge on nuclear power. We also want to be on the cutting edge when it comes to the renewable fuels, the biodiesels, the ethanols, the other fuels. And so I was excited. They're building as we speak. Dynamic Fuels is building a biodiesel refinery over there, 75 million gallons a year capacity, first of its kind in North America. You had the former head of Tyson Chicken, they're investors in there. Don Tyson came down for the groundbreaking last year. He said, Governor, this will be great for the environment. We're taking products out of the landfills and making diesel out of it. It's clear diesel. You can see right through it. But ultimately, you'll be able to put it in planes, in trucks, and maybe even cars. He said it's good for our farmers. He said it's good for consumers. It's good for national security because we're decreasing our dependence on foreign oil. He said it doesn't even drive up the cost of food because we're only using the inedible parts of the chicken to make this diesel. He said that's why I'm so excited about it. We had to pay people to take away this waste. Now I can sell it to this refinery, and they'll make diesel out of it. He said, this is great for everybody. This is a win-win. It's also good for the economy. Obviously, great paying jobs right here in Louisiana. I was about to get up to give my speech before we put the shovels in the ground. I decided to have a little bit of fun with Mr. Tyson. I said, Don, I've got a quick question about this refinery. He was horrified. He said, Governor, did I not explain it all right? I said, no, I get the chemistry. I said, here's my question. What's the inedible part of the chicken? I said, I've never seen that part. I thought you were supposed to eat the whole bird. He said, no, Governor, there are parts you're not supposed to eat. You're supposed to throw it away. And I said, you got to re-educate the entire state of Louisiana. We eat the whole thing down. I don't know what y'all do in Arkansas. We can fry it. We'll eat it. He said, Governor, please don't say that up there. I said, don't worry, I'm just teasing. You know, I can tell you lists and lists of projects and expansions and companies who are moving here or expanding here. But it's not about names, it's not about numbers. It's about Louisiana families pursuing their dreams here. That's why I want to tell you the story about one worker and one company. I think it's a great example. You know, we've been doing this Louisiana Working Tour, going from parish to parish to talk about our economy and what we can do to continue to move our economy forward. Well, I met a man up in the Monroe, the city of Monroe. I was talking to their Rotary Club, and he came up to me and told me his story. His name is Rex Rudd. Let me tell you about Rex. Rex sounds a lot like you and me. Born and raised in Louisiana. His wife, born and raised right here as well. They've lived here in Louisiana their entire lives. His wife's been teaching school for 21 years. Together, they've got a 12-year-old boy named Connor in the 5th grade. A year ago, they bought a home, so they're still beginning, they're just beginning to pay down that mortgage on that home. Sounds pretty typical, doesn't it? Well, at the beginning of this year, Rex got some bad news. The fabrication facility he worked at, the Shaw fabrication facility he worked at, announced they were closing their shop up there in northeast Louisiana. Rex didn't know what he was going to do. Didn't want to move his family, hated losing that job, didn't know what he was going to do. We've heard this story before. How many times have we heard somebody in a family loses their job, the whole family ends up having to move? His wife didn't want to leave school. His son didn't want to transfer and leave his friends. They couldn't afford to sell their house. They just bought it. But you know, my wife and I, we went to our high school reunions the last couple of years. Literally seeing dozens of friends for the first time in years because they had moved away during the last oil bust decades ago. Somebody in the family lost a job. They sold their homes at a loss. They quit their jobs. They left and they moved and they never came back. We've heard this story before. It's happened year after year in our state. Now, at the same time this was happening, Gardner Denver made another announcement. Gardner Denver is a Fortune 1000 company. They own a unit called Gardner Denver Thomas. They make industrial pumps. Make them in China, make them in a city called Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and make them in Monroe, Louisiana. Beginning of this year, the company said, because of the economy, we want to close down one of our facilities, one of our factories in America. They said to the states of Louisiana and Wisconsin, tell us why we should pick your state to keep our factory open. They had at the time 300 employees in Sheboygan, 75 employees in Monroe, Louisiana. Sure, they told us to compete, but you know what they called the project inside the company? They called it MTS, Monroe to Sheboygan. This wasn't a level playing field. I mean, it kind of makes sense. This unit was headquartered in Wisconsin. Their machinery was up there. Their employees were up there. It was just easier to close the smaller factory and keep the larger one open. But we decided we weren't going to take no for an answer. We were aggressive in showing them why they should pick Louisiana. The executives came down here. They toured the factory. They met the workers. We did a mock job fair for them. They looked at our workforce programs, our tax cuts, our ethics laws. They met with other employers and other vendors in the state. After several weeks, the CEO of the parent company came to see me in my office in Baton Rouge. He said, Governor, I'm here to tell you 3 things. Now, we didn't have any signed agreements. We didn't have any documents. We were just talking. He said, first, he said, Governor, we haven't made any formal commitments yet. He said, but the first thing I'm here to tell you is if you give us the time to talk to our employees and our customers, I'm here to tell you we're picking Louisiana over Wisconsin. We're coming to Louisiana. Now, the second thing he said to me, he said, Governor, I'll be honest with you, most people on my team thought we were going to Wisconsin. I said, I know. We heard about this name, MTS. Everybody thought y'all were going to Sheboygan. He said, but Governor, let me tell you why we picked Louisiana. He said, your team was so aggressive, we took another look at your state. And here's the most important thing he told me. He said, when we looked at Louisiana, we realized the facts on the ground, the reality in Louisiana was so much better than our perception of your state.